Welcome to Scoop on Order. We have a decommitment. We are processing guys early, which is good for Ohio State. So do not fret, Ohio State fans. There are better players coming. We're going to go break down the commitment of Blake Woodley. What does that mean to what is going on with Ohio State? And we're also going to take your questions and go through what's going on right now during summer conditioning at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. So as always, we appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate your patronage. This will be a huge show tonight because you guys made it one. So we appreciate you guys being on here each and every night. Again, we try to grind each and every night for about an hour. Give you guys some good content. Devin, I apologize you did not get your super chat in last night, so you can get it in tonight. But again, we just like to keep this thing flowing along for you guys. And we appreciate all of our regulars who are on here each and every night. So as always, shout out who you guys are watching with. And I'll also shout out where you guys are watching from. And shout out, how do you prefer Ohio State recruits? Do you prefer that when they figure out that a kid potentially can't play at Ohio State, is it better to process them now, or is it better to honor the commitment? Because this is clearly a case where Ohio State processed the kid out that they thought they could do better than. But I'd love your thoughts on that, and I will bring in Nevadabuck right away. Nevada, Blake Woodby is gone. He's a kid from St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, Maryland. He has been basically told thanks but no thanks. I think that this is kind of part of college football in modern times where sometimes kids, they fall in love with the school. Ohio State digs a little deeper. They get some much stronger players that potentially could fill out a class, and sometimes guys have to go. That is the case here. What are your thoughts on it? Because again, I think that it's better for both parties when they mutually part ways because, again, I think that the hard part about Ohio State, it is the upper echelon of college football. And when you're in the upper echelon of college football, it's not for everybody. And I think, frankly, there are some suitors sometimes that can come along and you'll have guys that jump into class and I think it's honestly better for most parties to process guys out now as opposed to they already get to campus, you figure out they can't play, and then they have to hit the portal. But what are your thoughts on Blake Woodby decommitting basically because Ohio State told him there was not room at the inn for him?
Yeah, what people have to remember is that Ohio State's rankings and on three or rivals or whomever you're using are very, very different. And so Ohio State's making choices based upon their lists and how guys work onto their list, and also not only guys that they have in the fold, but guys that they're potentially in line to get. And so the Woodby one was kind of predictable because you kind of saw the writing on the wall as Ohio State started kind of stacking commitments for 2025. And when you look at guys and you look at Sanchez and Alford and some of the other guys that they have in the class right now, Woodby was going to go. And to me, it's not that he can't play at Ohio State. The question is who can play at the highest level, because you got to remember the standard for Ohio State, whether we like it or not, whether it's fair or not, whether this is the right way to be looking at the world or not, is national championship or bust. Ohio State is playing, to try to go deep into the college football playoff, win the national championship, and anything short of that, seen by the fan base, says, I wouldn't say a failure, but certainly not a legendary season or a successful one. And at the very least, you've got to be getting to the Final Four. You've got to be beating Michigan. You got to be winning the Big Ten. And you've got to just ask yourself as a coach, who are the players that can kind of help you get to that spot? Who are the players that can kind of get you over the edge? And you only have a finite number of scholarships. You don't have. It's not the old days of Woody, where you could offer every kid and just take kids just to kind of keep them away from other schools, keep them away from your rival, and just stack them in there and just kind of see who works out. You've got to be very selective. You've got to pick them out, and you've got to make hard choices. And with Woodby, I just think it was a hard choice. Nice kid. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he goes on to have a nice, successful career wherever he goes on to. It's just not going to be at Ohio State. And as you said, those things generally work out best for both involved, because the last thing you want is a situation where a kid comes in who's a little bit behind the eight ball. And one of my favorite sayings is, "It's not the kids you miss on that kill you; it's the kids that you take that can't quite live up to their expectations and play those are the ones that kill you in recruiting. And I think that was the situation with Woodby. He was just going to be he's just a step behind some of those other guys. And Ohio State made a hard choice, but they made it now. And I think that's the right decision.
Yeah, I think it's better for both sides. Again, that is one of the most poignant sayings in all of recruiting, and it is something that is extremely accurate. Is it's not the guys that you miss on, it's the guys that you take that can't play. And in Ohio State's estimation, this kid can't play. Now, is Ohio State perfect? No. When they miss on some guys that have been notable, like Antoine Winfield Jr., Luke Lachey, Jamel Dean, it's been really bloody and terrible on Mark Pantoni's part. But again, the accuracy isn't going to be 100% when you do this stuff. But you have to do what's in your best interest. And I think that, they did this with Mark Nave last year, a kid that was committed for a long time. And then he obviously decommitted, flipped to Kentucky. We'll see how his career pans out. But I think that, the thing about Ohio State recruiting, man, is these coaches are as faithful as their options. And when all of a sudden you got guys like Dorian Brew, Dwayne Galloway, Mark Zachary, Jameer Joseph, you got some big time guys potentially getting more interested in Ohio State as the process goes on, then you have to make room, because again, you have to understand when you're sitting in the recruiting room, imagine that you're Ryan Day and you're at the front of the table in the Woody Hayes at the staff table. You've got all your guys around. They say, okay, we've got 25 spots for this year's class. How do we divvy them up? Okay, Justin Fry, you've got 5 guys. You got to take 5 offensive linemen. Quarterback, you've got 1 guy. Running back, you've got 2 or 3 guys. Tight end, you've got 1 guy. Defensive line, you've got 4 or 5 guys. Linebacker, you've got 3 guys. So it basically, like, you add it up, and then, if you're sitting there and you're, one of our DB coaches, and you say, hey, we might have took this guy a little early. He's not developing, and we've got some real monsters on the line that we could potentially reel in, then you got to make a hard decision. And again, I applaud the staff for doing this. Again, it's the ugly part of college football recruiting. It's gross, honestly, but it's better to give this kid a shot to go find a new home than for him to show up and feel like he's not wanted where he's at. So there's never a good time to dump your girlfriend, but this is kind of what they're doing here. And they're like, well, for the best of us, it'll be better if we go off and do our own thing. So it'll be interesting because, like I said, I named some guys that are big time guys. Like Dorian Brew's huge. I think Dwayne Galloway is one of the fastest rising guys in the entire country. Very athletic, twitched up kid. Chuck McDonald, Devin Williams, Dejon Petaway. They've got a lot of guys that could be in the fold, and I think it's better to throw your hooks out there and see what you can find. And I think that that's something that Matt Giurani and these guys are going to be digging into big time to see what they can do to bring some more guys in. Nevada, again, I know that it's a tough subject because you always kind of go through the eyes of if you were the player in my eyes, or even if I was the parent of the player. But do you agree that this is the best course of action for Ohio State? Because again, it's big boy ball. And again, this is, we're getting closer to being the NFL. And in the NFL, if you don't win a job, you get cut. Here, I feel like a kid got cut, but I think it's for the betterment of Ohio State, the roster. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, we have to remember, this isn't like, okay, we're cutting the kid, and now the kid's never going to go to college. He's never going to play college football. His life's going to be shattered, and he's going to be working in some, AMC theater in Bradenton, Florida, or something like that.
Hey now, your boy Sneaky Panda might make him a billionaire by doing that. Sneaky Panda or Sleepy Raccoon or whatever that guy's name is. Who said it? What's his name?
Roaring Monkey.
If Roaring Monkey says, "Hey, work at AMC, I'm going to give you a hot tip," me and you'd be pumping. We'd be pumping that synthetic butter on that popcorn today, tonight, forever. Me and you would have the little AMC little jerseys on, little hats, and be pumping that synthetic butter on that popcorn. If the Roaring Monkey said, "Hey, if you go there, I'll give you a hot tip." So go ahead, continue.
Yeah, I didn't pick AMC by accident. That's a clue for you guys out there. But no, this guy's Woodby's going to go on to he's going to go on to Oregon or something like that. So, it's not like he's going to not play football anymore. So while I feel bad for him, I don't feel that bad. You're going to go to another great program. You're going to be wine and dine. You're going to get the welcome cake. You're going to get the carrot cake or the chocolate cake or the yellow cake with chocolate frosting or the German chocolate cake. So you're going to get one of those things. Somebody's going to love you. Like I said, it's like going to a bar and you're with your hot girlfriend and then Jessica Alba walks in and hey, you're just like, hey, you're hot and you're nice, but that's Jessica Alba. So I have to leave you now. And I think most people understand when this stuff happens. And like you said, there's no loyalty in this, but it's not like it's you're leaving them and they're going to be destitute. He's going to go on. He's going to have a great spot. And I say in business, one of my favorite sayings in business of all time is the second best answer is a quick no. Just tell me. Do not string me on it or doing it because when you go through business and you have stuff and it's the time suck stuff where you're like, we're going to do it, we're going to do it, we're going to do it. And then at the end, oh, no, we're not going to do it. That's the stuff that is infuriating. Just tell me quickly, hey, no, there's no sale. I'm not buying. We're not going to do it. And I think with Ohio State, that's kind of what they did with Woodby. They're like, as soon as they knew, they made the decision to let him know and then gave him time. Because this has been out there for at least a month. He's known this, and he's taking time to go public with it right now. But it's been public within the Ohio State circles for quite a bit of time right now, and they've kind of moved on. So best for all involved.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's part of the gig. It's something that I think that's part of the Urban Meyer School of Business, where you gotta make sure you can get the best roster you can. Because again, if you want to keep your job at Ohio State, you have to have the best players you can get, coach them up as best you can with the best coaches you can get, and then you have to try to roll the dice and make sure you stay healthy and get through a 17 game season, which is absolutely crazy. But again, it's exciting to be a part of. Nevada, as we get into recruiting, there's a lot of showcases going on. The guys are out on the road. Uh, there's a lot of really good Ohio State, or excuse me, Ohio linemen in this class. Guys like Sam Greer, guys like Maxwell Riley. How important is it for Justin Fry to get after it? Because I mean, you got Max Riley, you got Will Conroy. This is a kind of a bumper crop for Ohio. What does it mean for Justin Fry, and how important is it that he closes these guys over the next couple of years? Because there's some big time fish in these classes.
Yeah, I mean it's important, but it's important to recognize that Ohio State is going through there's a decided change in their offensive line strategy right now. The strategy right now is they're basically empowering the assistant coaches to kind of go out there and they're casting the widest net possible for offensive line. That's why you're seeing I sent you a kid today that was offered out of Florida. I'm trying to pull up his name right now as we're sitting here. What was his name? Oh, Zaire Addison. I mean, the it's crazy how wide a net that they're casting right now, and this has been different because Justin had kind of come in and kind of favored a rifle shot approach on this, and they've completely thrown that out the window right now. And I mean, I'm not sure how many active offers they have out there for offensive line right now, but it's more so than at any time I can remember in recent memory for Ohio State, and they are changing strategy on offensive linemen. It's going to be first come first served. They offer a ton of guys. They're trying to change the power. And one way you can change the power equation with kids is by letting them know that you've got a finite number of scholarships to give, that you're putting the scholarships out there, and they either commit or you're moving on because somebody else is going to take their spot. And that's one of the few ways you can leverage kids in these days with NIL, with transfer portal, with everything else that's kind of going on. Kids don't feel that kind of stress about going out there and making a quick commitment. But for Ohio State, they're saying, look, if you do this, we're literally taking this many kids. If you're not part of it, we're going to move on. And they're okay with that. They kind of feel like these kids are all pretty much in the same range of player. They're not sure. It's like you've got 10 possible outcomes and you're not sure which one's going to be the best one for you. So you're just going to take the top three. Whatever the top three are, you're just going to take the first three to kind of commit, and you're going to be fine with it because you feel like you've got as much a chance letting that sort it and that being the thing that's successful as waiting and picking the perfect three because there's just not that much difference between the kids. That's what Ohio State's doing with offensive linemen right now. And it's interesting because like I said, they might, I think they've got like at least 10 legitimate offensive line offers out there right now. And we'll see how many kids step up and take them. Because again, it's first come, first served.
Totally agree. Yeah, Zaire Addison is he's from Sumner in Tampa, Florida. 6'4", 280, four-star kid. Ohio State went on him, offered him. Toss his film on real quick. He is an impressive-looking cat, so I'm excited to see. I watched this film a little bit earlier, so I'll share it with you guys. Playing left tackle like every good high school kid does. Plays defensive line a lot too. So when you see some of these clips where whether you see sacks, like that's him. Plays both ways, but he's here he's playing right tackle. Very athletic dude. Or excuse me, not right tackle. He's playing defensive end. My fault. He's in a 2-point. I thought he was up in a 2-point on offense, but he's a different cat, man. This is an athletic dude. Excited to see what he can do. Can play kind of both ways in high school. Obviously, he'll be a tackle in college, but yeah, you like these kind of super freak athletes. So he's going to be a big time factor for us going forward. I think when you're looking at some of the stuff that these guys are going to be doing. Let me toss this back on. Excuse me. Sorry. Oh, but yeah, he's a big cat. I think I might have the wrong Zaire for the first two clips. So I apologize. Here he's at left tackle, but he also plays D end. He gets a sack here. So again, like I love the guys to go both ways. He's a monster now, and again, he's very athletic. Again, playing left tackle, sitting guys down. Level of competition's decent, not great, but pass pro looks good. And again, that's what you in Ryan Day's offense. You gotta be able to pass protect. So I like everything about this kid. Obviously, we went on him because we need tackles. We need guys that can move out in space and block fast edge rushers. So that is why he's got the attention of Ohio State, and his offer sheet is exquisite. Like he's got basically every school in the country after him. So see what we can do. Again, we've had a lot of success in Florida. Obviously, Tampa, we've had a ton of success. So we got Mike Jenkins out of there a long time ago. We've had a bunch of guys from Tampa since then. So excited to see this guy. So we'll let this tape finish up. But yeah, I like the aggression on the trail again, and it helps when there's a big crop, in the state of Ohio for the offensive line. Nevada, I feel like we lead for David Sanders Jr. I don't like to say that out there too early, but his mentor is Paris Johnson, and he wants to be Paris Johnson. So if you want to be Paris Johnson and you want to be drafted 6 overall and do kind of everything Paris has done, what's better than going to Ohio State? So I think that would be incredible for Justin, Ryan Day, and Chip Kelly. Again, I think it's less than Clemson at this point. Georgia is out of the mix because of their culture. But what are your thoughts on how big of a class Justin Fry needs this year to kind of accentuate what he has in the offensive line room already?
Well, look, he needs that signature recruit. He needs that guy. Much like we've talked about how Tim Walton did it with Davison. He needs to have that guy that kind of gets him off the schneid. And Carlo was a good start, but I think he's getting David Sanders, and Ohio State thinks they're getting David Sanders. And if they do, now all of a sudden you've got the kind of offensive line that Chip wants. I mean, Chip wants these tackle that can move kind of guys. And frankly, he's okay with playing those guys inside. He wants mobile offensive linemen as opposed to like the big bruisers because he wants to move the guys around. He wants the activity. We talked about, philosophically, where are they going with offensive linemen? But they're looking for more mobile looking guys. And so for people that bemoan they're playing tackles, playing guard thing, which I thought was the stupidest take that I've ever heard, you're going to see more of that because Chip Kelly believes in that. He believes in having guys that can move around, that can kind of get to the edge, that can kind of take advantage of that misdirection, take advantage of those good blocking angles that are created when you're able to get the defense to take a false step. And I think you're going to see more of that. But David Sanders is a key piece. I think he is the key piece, which probably is going to be a 5-man class. But when your top two start off as David Sanders and Carter Lowe, that's a really good start. And that is the making of an epic. Now, again, every class looks kind of epic on paper. Offensive line is an imprecise position at best to pick. You live that. as Burt
Yeah.
Carton, the somewhat unheralded recruit to the legendary All-American. So I don't need to tell you that offensive line recruiting ratings don't mean everything when it comes to guys, but it's a pretty good-looking class on paper, and I really think this is the year that Justin Fry changes it. I think this strategy of casting a wider net is absolutely the right one, but I think it begins. I think the parade begins with David Sanders, and I think that's going to happen sooner than later.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that when you look at the void in talent at tackle, next year obviously there's a great chance that Josh Simmons potentially could go pro early. Josh Fryer is gone; he's out of eligibility. You got to sell that to these kids. Hey, you can play real early here if you come here. We need some young guys that can move around, move their feet, shuffle around, and play pass protection. But I think that Ohio State has a lot going on, and I think that is something that is special in this recruiting class. And I think that as you keep cranking along with everything that's going on at Ohio State, the O-line recruiting will fix itself, just because as good as this offense is going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of really good players that want to join a part of it. I got some super chats. Super Nerd, thank you for the 5. Great question here. Are you excited about the college football video game? I am, but EA has been sketchy in the past. I won't pre-order for sure. Nevada, I know that you don't even have anything past an Atari, but you have someone that we know as Funky Buck, who plays Madden, and he runs, what is it, RPO Monkey Dagger with Lamar Jackson and shreds people online. Are you excited about the new NCAA video game, Nevada?
Well, I'm super excited about it, but I think they ruined it by having that stiff Donovan Edwards on the cover of it. Isn't that like the cover or something like that? They have him on there, and like him and his 4.3 yards per carry, like that's the guy that you put on the cover of
He's he's the last of the Mohicans, man. There's the cover. There you go.
I mean, we talk about Lydell Ross being the worst starting tailback in the history of Ohio State football in the past 50 years. And Lydell Ross in his third year, much like Donovan Edwards last year in his third year, Lydell Ross averaged 4.4 yards per carry. Donovan Edwards averaged 4.3 yards per carry last year, and he's on the cover of a freaking video game. I mean, Serenity Now. For me, it kind of ruined it having that bum on there. So you ask me the question. I'm excited about the game, but like you're gonna have this guy, this running back on there with like negative speed, negative vision, and just a mediocre, undrafted free agent type of running back on the cover. Look, you've got Quinn Ewers on there, and then you've got the bum Donovan Edwards. I don't know. I won't be buying the video game, as I will be boycotting as a result.
I mean, it is funny seeing Texas with the SEC logo, but hey, if there's something that sums up realignment and switching conferences, like seeing Texas with that SEC is something I hadn't paid attention to. But yeah, it's good seeing a great former Buckeye in Quinn Ewers on the cover with Travis Hunter, who's going to be a top 10 pick, and Donovan Edwards, who, Michigan won the national championship. I mean, whatever. So, I mean, they couldn't put anybody else really on there. He's a curious choice. I mean, in all of the past NCAA video games going back to 14, it was always somebody that had gone on to the National Football League. So, I mean, if you were going back to the way they did it, like all the previous games, they probably put Caleb Williams in his SC uniform on here. But, the fact that they could actually pay the currently eligible players now changed the math a little bit. In Nevada, if you could pick the cover of College Football 25, who are you putting on there?
Well, I'm putting Trey Henderson, Quinshawn Judkins, and Jessica Alba. I'm putting those three on the cover of the magazine. And
honest brands.
I'm just
Jessica
doing
Alba,
that's what I'm going.
billionaire off soap. Jessica Alba.
just because I think that's important. I think it's important that we recognize beauty and money at
Yeah.
the same time, along with two great Buckeyes on there. That's what that would be my cover of my video game magazine right there. I'd play the game. If you could play the game as a character, I'd play the game as Jessica Alba. When you go, they're not Donovan Edwards. Can you imagine playing the game as Donovan Edwards, where you're like really slow and you run in the line and just get knocked down and fall down? Like what is that? I don't understand. Well, I mean, put Colton Loveland or whatever it is, or
Colson. That disrespect my
whatever,
boy. It's my boy.
whatever the heck, whatever his name was. But why would you put some guy? He averaged 4.3 yards per carry last year. 4.3. Go back to the history of Ohio State and look for guys that average 4.3 yards per carry and go, were those great running backs or not? It's like, no, those guys were not great running backs.
They actually stunk.
Yeah.
So you put Jessica Alba because obviously the thing about Jessica Alba is like, obviously sex sells, but so does soap because she's a billionaire off of Honest Brands and she sold a lot of detergent and soap and organic stuff to become a billionaire. So shout out Jessica Alba. For me, for College Football 25, I'm putting in the middle where Travis Hunter is, I'm putting Justin Fry. And then where Donovan Edwards is, I'm putting Josh Simmons. And at the right tackles, I'm putting Josh Fryer. So then you have like the greatest conglomerate of tackles and offensive line coachness in the world on the same cover. So that's going to be my cover. I might have Ryan Day sitting up in the rafters where the snipers are. And that's about it.
You've got Justin Fry on your cover. I've got Jessica Alba on the cover, and you've got Justin Fry on the cover. Can we put Justin Fry's daughter on the cover, like pointing to the hole where they're going to run or something like that? And be like, my daddy said we're going to run right there.
Right there.
Yeah, we're going to run
right there.
Right there.
We're running right there. We're running right there where the Greek tennis guy lost today, right there in the clay. He was right in that clay, and he was a minus 1,400, and then he lost. So we're gonna run right there, clay guy. We're running right into that soccer parlay over 3 goals, and they score 0.
I love it.
But yeah, I'm excited about the game. Again, if you guys are longtime Scoop fans, and there's some of you that are here, when the pandemic was going on, we launched our website in like June of 2020. So the global pandemic hits, and all of a sudden, every camp gets canceled, every practice gets canceled, the football season gets canceled because we had an absolute douchebag moron of a commissioner. And while the SEC and the ACC are actually still playing football, we cancel everything. We send everybody to the barracks to make everybody, not whatever. So we did Scoop Dreams, where we actually made a virtual season on Xbox 360 with NCAA 14, and we simulated games, and me and Nevada did commentary. It was like the worst content ever, but it was hilarious at the same time because we were watching
No. The worst content ever was Scoop Eats. Like if you want to do a double header of bad content,
that was bad.
Eats,
really bad. Yeah. Well, I'm talking about people that didn't get. I'm talking about content created by people that weren't fired by Buckeye Scoop. I'm talking about like us. So, but we did it, and like it was funny. We get like a couple thousand views, and oh my god, but there's nothing to talk about. So we were commentating on if Ohio State went to the SEC and had to play Bama and Georgia and Tennessee and everybody, and it was actually hilarious because we'd sit and commentate these virtual games, and it was fun. But we don't have to do that anymore. But yeah, when this new one comes out, I'll be the first one to buy it. I can't wait to play it. Again, I think college football being gone for 10 years, it sucks for these kids that never get to be on the game. But hey, it is what it is. I actually got a settlement check from, when they shut it off, and they had the class action lawsuit with Ed O'Bannon. So I got a check for like $3,000, and I'll take it. I didn't miss it. I like Madden better anyways. I like NHL 24 even better than that. Poobier 12, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you being an Ultra member. Here we go, Nevada. You ready for it? The Vikings have been 7-9 or better each year since 2014, 13-4 in 2022. Here's what Vegas thinks of JJ McCarthy. Underdogs, 14 of 17 games, not favored until week 9. Never favored by 1.5, then more than 1.5 points. Nevada OH. Well, like the hard part for me is like I'm not convinced that JJ McCarthy is going to be the week 1 starter because they paid Sam Darnold like $14 million to be a 1 year guy to be like the shepherd into the JJ era. So I don't know how much he's going to be making, but for whatever reason, man, Sam Darnold has got a fantastic agent and he gets a lot of 1 year deals that are worth a lot of money. Excuse me, he said a 1 year, $10 million deal with the Vikings. So I would assume that Sam Darnold is going to be the opening day starter unless he just vomits all over himself. But I don't know why else they give him a 1 year, $10 million deal, but I could be proven dead wrong. And if I'm wrong, I don't care. I apologize. But, the Vikings didn't give him a 1 year, $10 million deal to just, hold a clipboard. They gave him that, I think, to start and hold it over for JJ. But Nevada, your thoughts on your boy, JJ McCarthy? The Vikings have been 7-9 or better each year since 14. And a lot of those have been with Kirk Cousins. And now Vegas has got him as underdogs in 14, 17 games, not favored until week 9, and never favored by more than 1.5 points. What are your thoughts on JJ and the Vikings?
I mean, I think they're a fade. I think they're an easy fade. I think the Packers are going to be a lot better in the division. The Packers are one of the Super Bowl favorites, believe it or not. I think the Bears are going to be way better, and I think the Lions are really good. So for you look at it as a Vikings fan, you got to figure out where do you fit. That's just the division. I mean, they're dead last. So you've got trouble with both those, all 6 of those games right there, and then you've got your non-conference schedule. I mean, $10 million for Sam Darnold is really cheap, but you look at the going rates for quarterbacks right now. I think Goff just signed for $52 million a year on an extension. So $10 million to get a veteran quarterback in there that can kind of be a placeholder that can kind of hold down the fort for a few games while McCarthy does his feng shui or whatever he does and figures out how to be the quarterback. I think that's what they're kind of counting on. But I can't wait for JJ to get in there because it's going to be comedy gold. I have never seen a player that are more split opinions on than JJ McCarthy, like ever. In all my life of following the college football draft, I cannot remember a player, and social media has kind of amplified the voices for sure. Oh, wow. Did you just burp on the air right there?
No, I didn't. I thought it was muted, but it absolutely was.
Oh, my gosh.
Sorry, folks.
Okay. Remember before when I said that
the Titans
was a low point for us? I think we just hit the low point.
There's a slightly lower point. So shout out to Kirkland. I want a Costco deal, but there you go. This water is it's hitting right now.
Kirk belching on the air is definitely a low point. At least you didn't carry your microphone into the bathroom with you. We get that on the air. That would have been bad as well. But no, I think JJ is going to be just unbelievable. Must see TV every time he's out there because you get to root against him. And what's more fun than rooting against a bad quarterback on a bad team? Nothing. And then watching Justin Jefferson get all frustrated and throw his helmet on the sideline and go through all those antics. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be. I mean, I love the Jets obviously because of Aaron Rodgers. I love the Browns. I love the Packers, and I get to root against JJ McCarthy every play this year. I mean, what a glorious NFL season! I can't wait for. I mean, on top of the Ohio State season, I'm just almost too excited to even express how I can't wait for this thing to start. Let's go.
I totally agree. It's kind of like looking at the Steelers schedule. Like, I think the Steelers are going to be in some real deep water, man. Because I mean, I'm a Browns fan, like everybody else on the show. The Steelers open at the Falcons, who have Kirk Cousins, so that could be a loss. The Broncos stink, so we'll beat them. Chargers potentially could stink, but with Jim Harbaugh, playoff coach Mike Tomlin. Colts kind of a toss-up. Cowboys probably better. Raiders, I think the Steelers get them. Jets, Steelers. If Rodgers is playing, I think he beats the Steelers. Giants, Steelers, toss-up, probably Steelers. Bye week. Commanders, they win. But then, like, their last 8 games is the gauntlet. Ravens come to town. And then they play the Browns in Cleveland. Then at Bengals. Then Browns at Steelers. Then Steelers at Eagles, who will be great this year. And then Steelers at Ravens. Chiefs at Steelers, Bengals. I mean, that is a gauntlet for the last 8 games. I mean, they're playing, the Bengals are like a Super Bowl contender. The Ravens are a Super Bowl contender. The Eagles are Super Bowl contenders. So The Chiefs, obviously, Super Bowl champions back to back. So it's always interesting seeing these schedules and how they come out because it's fun to analyze between college and pro football where these guys are. Nevada, your boy Jeremy Moreland, $2. See, we got a burp for $2, so I appreciate you, Jeremy, for the
Oh my
ultra.
gosh.
Kirk Burt, last my hind in off OH Nevada. I do enjoy my water. But yeah, I think that the schedule is always kind of fun to analyze because, like, looking at Michigan's schedule, whew, I mean, you said their line moved to 9.
Yes, that is correct.
I mean, they are. I mean, they're the definition of deep water at this point. I mean, if you look at the Wolverine schedule, I mean, I looked at it and I was like, I don't know how they get all this alive. But again, they've got a new coach, a new staff, basically knew everything. And I think they have the hardest schedule in college football. So I'm going to toss that up on the board real quick. Because, they've got, you look at the top, Fresno State they open with 7:30 Peacock game. Of course, that's going to be the first Saturday night game. Then they play Texas week 2, which is going to be a big noon kickoff. That'll be a massacre by the Longhorns. Then they play Arkansas State, who they'll crush. SC, we'll see. Minnesota, they'll beat. At Washington is tough. That'll be a coin flip. At Illinois, tough. Michigan State. Then Oregon, who will run through those guys. They'll beat Indiana, Northwestern. Then you got Ohio State, and you got the Big Ten title. So that is a very tough. That's a tough go, man. I'm telling you, like especially Texas, SC, Washington, Oregon, Ohio State. I mean, that could easily be 5 losses. If any of the other teams rise up, it could be even scarier. I think this is the opposite. Like last year, they had the easiest schedule I've ever seen. This year, they're paying the price for that, but having the hardest schedule. What are your thoughts on this, Nevada? Because again, I look at Texas guaranteed, SC maybe not guaranteed, but it'll be tight. Washington will be tight. Oregon, I think, smokes them. I think we smoke them. So there's at least 3 losses, and I think you can find a couple more on the schedule. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, 9-3 tops possible for them, and 7-5 I think is the floor. Which again, not great for defending national champion. But you mentioned their schedule last year, which was again really easy, just kind of set up kind of the perfect storm for them. But for fun, I don't know if you can do this on it for fun. Pull up Georgia's schedule this year. Have you seen Georgia's schedule
Oh my
this year?
God, is it like last year's schedule, or is like they played like one team? Is it hard or easy?
No, we'll call it up, and then we'll say, because obviously we haven't done this in pre-show. So you look at the schedule and you tell me whether you think it's hard or easy. We'll do a little hard or easy thing.
Oh yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, this is again. They're paying the same penance that Michigan paid last year. So they opened playing Clemson. So Clemson at least has guys that can walk and chew bubble gum and play football. Then they play Tennessee Tech, who they'll kill. Kentucky, decent at Kentucky. Then they play Bama, who's way down from last year, but they'll still be Bama. Auburn, Mississippi State. Then they play at Texas. Yeah, this is paying the penance for last year. Michigan and Georgia had the 2 easiest schedules I've ever seen in college football the last year. And now they both have the hardest schedules I've ever seen. So they got to play versus Florida in the hedge game, at Ole Miss, Tennessee. This is a. I mean, the way I look at it is like I always look at mentally. Would I want Ohio State to have to play this schedule? No, I do not want to play Clemson in a neutral site game. I don't want to play Kentucky at Kentucky. I don't want to play Bama, Auburn, Mississippi State. Then at Texas, that's their 4-game stretch. I mean, that's like murder's row. Then they're off. Then they got to play between the hedges. There's Florida. Then at Ole Miss. Then Tennessee. I mean, that is a juggernaut of a schedule. So I'm sure you see this the same way I do because that's crazy.
Yeah, I was looking at their schedule. Actually, it was Funky Buck that had pulled it up for me. He goes, "Hey, have you checked out their Georgia schedule?" And I looked at it and I'm like, "Oh my!" Yeah, because last year it was embarrassing. Last year they had literally one losable game on it. This year, I mean, if Ohio State was playing that schedule, because you're only as good as your schedule, guys. Like it's one thing to say, "Hey, we're great. We're going to run all through it. We're going to do this and that." But if your schedule's impossibly hard, because throw that schedule, and then remember you've got 4 playoff games against ranked opponents. I mean, how many ranked opponents will Georgia be playing this year? Like like 12 or something. I mean, it's going to be some insane number of ranked opponents in the game. And that's just hard. You need to have some breathers. You need to have some, short putts that you're going to be able
Yeah.
to knock in the hole for sure. And they don't have many short putts at all. I mean, Georgia could be really down this year with a good team. They could lose 3 times. They could lose 4 times.
Well, yeah, even like if you win, say they beat Clemson, like they're still gonna have to like deal with the cumulative effects of playing a real team. Like you're not playing Youngstown State where you get, when you play these real teams, you don't get to pull the starters at halftime. Like when you play Tennessee Tech, obviously you should be up 49-0 at half and pull the starters out. But then you go Kentucky, and then this 4-game stretch of Bama, Auburn, Mississippi, Texas is insane. And then you take a week off, then you play Florida, who, again, Florida has players as good as Georgia. They don't play as good as Georgia, and their coaching staff's probably going to get fired after this year, but they get the same quality of athletes that Georgia does. Ole Miss is about to be really, really good. And then Tennessee, I mean, that is, again, like, go look at last year's Michigan and last year's Georgia, and it is a monstrous task this year compared to where they were. Poohbeard 12, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. Alcohol sales will begin this season at Michigan Stadium. Timing makes sense. They're going to need it. As tough as their schedule is, Florida's is worse. Well, let's pull up Florida's next. Nevada, are you surprised that there are still stadiums that do not serve alcohol in college football?
Well, I mean, that was the way it was for years. I mean, that's the way it was for years. And, I wouldn't say that I'm surprised by it, just because, I mean, college football's always been a little bit different. Everything about the college football construct's been a little bit different. But, yeah, I mean, I think in today's times, I mean, there's so many things about Ohio Stadium that I would do different. My approach to the game day would be completely different than what Ohio State's has been. But some people don't want that. I mean, some people like the tradition and just they just want to, I just want to hear the band, and I don't care about the scoreboard, and I don't care about and it's like, hey, that's great. But like when you go to these new modern stadiums, like I was checking out the renderings of Ballmer's new arena that he's doing here for the Clippers, and it's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. He's got a video board that's like one continuous video board that's like if you stretch it end to end, it would be an acre long. That's how big the video board is, and it just wraps around the entire thing. So there's no more scoreboard. It's just like one continuous loop video board. And I'm just like, if you had something like that in Ohio Stadium, I mean, it'd be amazing. But that's eventually where you got to go. Think times change, things got to change. But a lot of people don't like that, so we're stuck with this mediocre game presentation, no alcohol at some of these old stadiums, bad bathrooms, bad food, and noon starts. So I mean, hey, it's the perfect storm.
Well, here's Florida State. So they open with Miami, play Stanford, win. A&M tough, at Mississippi State tough. UCF is going to be a sleeping giant because they are recruiting their face off right now, so they actually might beat Florida. Tennessee, Kentucky. So you got at Neyland Stadium, which is as tough of a place as there is to play. Kentucky, then Georgia, who obviously is going to be great. I mean, versus Georgia, and then at Texas. I mean, that's a neutral site, Georgia in Jacksonville, between the hedges, and then at Texas. That is the toughest 2-game schedule in the entire country. Then you toss in LSU. Then you toss it. So that's the toughest 3-game schedule. Then you toss in Ole Miss, toughest 4-game schedule. Then you toss in Florida State. So that's the toughest 2, 3, 4, and 5-week schedule in the country. There's nothing that touches that. I mean, that is, you want to talk about take the under. Oh my God. Like, because for one, they might fire the coach on October 26th, and then they might be interim coach and interim staff heading into Georgia. So that is going to be brutal. So Urban.
But now for fun, pull up Ohio State's schedule. Let's put up Ohio State's schedule now, just for fun.
Sure, of course. That's all we do is for fun.
Yes.
But yeah, I was surprised that every school doesn't serve alcohol in stadiums, because I'm like, if somebody wants to drink alcohol in I mean, they're going to sneak it in. They're going to have a flask. They're going to put it in their boot. Like when I was at Nebraska for the 19 Ohio State Nebraska game, I was in a suite with a bunch of Nebraska, bigwigs, and they were these big cowboy dudes. The Kelsey brothers it was Trey Mitty, who is a big Freightliner dealer in Nebraska. He has a bunch of Nebraska football players that work for him. They all had booze in their cowboy boots, so they'd sneak in like a fifth of Jack in their boot, and they'd mix it with like Diet Coke or whatever. And I was like, well, that's kind of amazing. And then the thing about like Nebraska football, because Ohio State sucks. Like for the game day experience sucks. The way they treat tailgaters sucks. Like everything about it sucks. But like Nebraska, they would let the guys go out in the parking lot at halftime. So you could leave the game at halftime. So these guys would all drink a fifth of Jack in the first half. Now, mind you, Ohio State beat them like 70-10 that night. And then they'd go out to the car, they get another fifth of Jack, put that in their boot, come back in. But I'm just like, if people are going to want to drink at a game, you might as well charge them because, these big sweet guys, they'll pay $800 for a bottle of Jack that costs $50 at Kroger because they're usually treating clients or employees or whatever. But I was surprised that like, it's a lot like gambling. Like, now that gambling is in, most of the states, it's in Ohio and everywhere. It's like all of a sudden with casinos being all through Ohio and on the gambling apps, like it crushes all, Indiana and West Virginia and these Indian reservations where the money all stays in Ohio now. It doesn't go to Belterra and Mountaineer and Vegas and everywhere else in the world. So I think like, if people are going to do it, they're going to go figure out a way to do it. But it's better just to, you might as well make money on it and tax it. This is my opinion. Ohio State schedule. First two is Cakewalk Central. Week off. That has to be the earliest bye week in Ohio State history. I'm just saying, like, we've never had a bye week 3. Marshall stinks. Michigan State stinks. Iowa stinks. At Oregon. So basically, you've got 5 games to get ready for Oregon because the first 5 games stink, and you have a bye week in there. Then you're off after, which is great after that long flight home from Alton. And again, they could lose that game and we'd still be in good shape. Nebraska, cakewalk. Penn State, cakewalk. Purdue stinks. Northwestern at Wrigley stinks. Indiana stinks to Michigan. So this is a very easy road to the playoffs, in my opinion. Nevada, am I wrong, right, indifferent? I think I know where you're going to go with this.
Well, yeah, we got Georgia's schedule from last year. We got Michigan's schedule from last year. And so, this is what happens. It kind of goes, but, we look, if we always say one of our core tenets here is honesty. The SEC this year is tough for the Big Ten. Look, those SEC schedules are absolutely ridiculous. We just gone through a few of them, and they're just crazy. And I look at them, I contrast it with our schedule, where it's like when our tough games, when our games that we're gripping about are, man, we got to beat Drew Aller in Penn State. I mean, come on. Look at Oregon. That's going to be a war, heck of a game. Michigan, we get in Columbus, and we play Drew Aller. So I like our chances. I think 2024 is kind of the perfect storm. That's what you kind of need to get to the big dance and to win the whole thing. You need to have a little bit of luck. You need to have a favorable schedule. You need to stay healthy. Things start to kind of have to go your way, but it starts with the schedule. We definitely have the right schedule. We definitely have the right team. We definitely have the right staff. So all the pieces are in place to make a deep run. But schedule certainly helps.
Totally agree. ZZM, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the 5. Thanks for being an ultra member. Kirk in Nevada, thank you for the work you put in every day. I know it's a lot of work involved. Best Buckeye content, great Buckeye family in Nevada. OH. Yeah, it's a grind. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, once the off season and there's not a lot going on, I mean, you gotta try to figure out how to grind through an hour, but we do it. And a lot of it's thanks to you guys. Cause again, I always say you guys make it a big show. It's not a big show because of us, because of you guys. So we appreciate you guys. The super chats are always great because you guys always have great thoughts, great questions, and we appreciate that. That makes the show different than anywhere else because you guys can really kind of help guide stuff. You help us, if there's ever any writer's block, you guys bring some great questions. And, we almost count on it at this point where you guys can impact the show, asking some of your great thoughts, great questions. And I feel like we do a really good job of answering the stuff. So we appreciate you guys for doing that. But ZZM, I appreciate you so much for the kind words. Again, it's every day, 7 o'clock, at least an hour. sometimes 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours. In season, we'll probably be going 2 hours a night. But we just appreciate your kind words and your thoughts. Nevada ZZM, again, thank you for the 5. Thanks for being an Ultra member. Says Kirk in Nevada, thank you for the work you put in every day. I know it's a lot of work involved. Best Buckeye content, great Buckeye family, Nevada OH. Your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, it takes discipline, but it's not as much work as you think, because I love talking about Ohio State football. It's probably more work for Kirk because he's got 9 jobs and 17 kids and stuff like that, and 14 households and things like that. For me, I love talking about Ohio State football. I could talk about Ohio State football all day. That's pretty much what I do anyway. So just doing it here, sharing it with you guys, is a lot of fun, and it's been a blast. Now, you mentioned, at the beginning of the top of the show, you mentioned that Devin had a question from like yesterday that we missed. Did we miss this question? Did we answer his question?
He has not posted. He has not put. Devin, I don't know if you're on here and if you're planning to super chat, but he called me while I was in editing post show, and he's like, "Man, I had a super chat all typed up, and I was getting ready to send it, but he never sent it." And I love you, Devin, but you don't have to. But it wasn't like one that we missed, but he's like, "Man, I had my finger on the trigger and I didn't do it." And I was like, so again, I love you, Devin. So I talked to him after, but I was like, well, you can ask it tomorrow. I mean, dude, it's not like we're hard to find. It's not like we don't go every single day. So, if you guys ever have like a super chat or we happen to, come off the air or whatever, then, it's not a big deal. I think it's just one of those things where we go for about an hour, and you obviously yesterday with the Cavs playing, we're all, I'm very cognizant that obviously our podcast is very Ohio sports driven. So when the Cavs are playing the Celtics, even though it looks like they're walking into a blast furnace and they got melted yesterday, people still want to watch that. So, if we have less people on, I get it when we're going against the Cavs playoff game, but Nevada and I want to watch the game. I thought they played hard. I thought Darius Garland sucked, but I thought the rest of the team played really hard. I mean, if Darius Garland would have done anything, it actually would have actually really been a game. But, I thought Mobley played his heart out. I thought a lot of those guys played really hard, despite, not having, 2 of your top 4 guys with LeVert. And obviously Donovan Mitchell's probably the second best player in Cavs history behind LeBron. That makes it tough against the best team in basketball. But it was fun, and again, we're excited for the future of the Cavs. Will be interesting to see what moves they make. Well, Nevada, I think we can wrap this thing up. Oh, never mind. Devin's here. Here we go. All right, for the 10. And Devin, I appreciate you, my man. Details, Nevada, on BT Jordan, who is the quote-unquote pass rush specialist who got fired by Ryan Day. Nevada OH. And also, Devin, thank you for being an Ultra member and being a Wrench brother along with Akeem, Doreen, and Kim. Appreciate all 4 of you guys monitoring the chat, keeping it nice and clean. This is one of those things where I don't want to go off the top rope on a kid too bad because, he obviously got fired by Ohio State. I don't think he was much of an asset to Ohio State. I know that people are like, well, Rashawn Gary and all these Instagram models think that he's a great pass rush coach and he puts all these videos on it. But it's like I tell people, if he was a fantastic defensive line coach, wouldn't somebody be employing him to be a defensive line coach as opposed to being like this artisan Diet Coke version of a D-line coach where he's coaching bull rushes and swim moves and hand fighting and that type of thing. So, again, I take it with a grain of salt. I don't think that anybody in the world would have even known this guy was gone. Jack Sawyer, who I love like a little brother, went on a podcast and said, "Oh well," they were like, "What's the impact of BT Jordan?" Jack's like, "Well, I don't think he's gonna be with us this year." So that made all of the sleuths out there, all of the genius guru beat people go out and sniff around and look him up in the director, and he wasn't there anymore. And oh God, BT Jordan is no longer on staff. And I'm like, well, when they bring in these volunteer, maybe $20,000 a year type dudes, those guys aren't real candidates to replace Larry Johnson. Because everyone's like, well, this guy could be the next D-line coach after Larry retires in a year or 2 or 5 or whatever. And I'm like, dude, those guys have no chance because they've never coached a D-line before. they've been Instagram model pass rush coaches, which is great. That's fine. It's cute. It might mind meld the dumb members of the Ohio State media, but it's not going to fool me. I've been around the block. I've seen these guys before. They're cute. They're trying to get their name out there. They're trying to attach their name to JT2 Malau and Jack Sawyer and Mike Hall and all these guys. But, like losing this guy, if Jack didn't say it, nobody in the world would even know this guy exists or was even on staff. So, when he got let go by Ryan, I'm sure that it was for cause. He did something stupid or dumb, and they just let him go. And again, I'm fine with it because, if he was worth his salt, he'd still be there. They give him a second chance, but I'm sure he did enough because, again, a lot of you guys are smart and you guys know how to figure out if a guy's been let go or not. When a guy leaves and he doesn't land somewhere, it means he was fired. It doesn't mean that he left for a better job or a better position or better opportunity. He just got whacked. So I don't think anything of BT Jordan. I know that it's a slow time of the year. So, if the cafeteria food is different at the Woody Hayes, people get in an uproar or whatever. But I just don't care. I don't care about BT Jordan. God bless him. I hope he does great on his Instagram, pass rushing, real stuff. But, we're not going to miss him at all. Nevada, your thoughts on BT Jordan getting fired by Ryan Day at Ohio State football?
Yeah, look. We've talked about it on the show. We're always honest with you. Once the story broke, I've been digging to kind of find out what happened, and I don't know what happened. So I'm going to continue to dig. I'll get the background. I'll find out exactly. So I don't know what the circumstances were. So I really have no idea. So I feel underqualified to answer the question, which I hate. But if I don't know, if I know, I'll tell you I know. And if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. On this one, I honestly don't know. Do I think that losing any type of an analyst type of specialist type position is a big deal for Ohio State? No. Until they change the rule about coaching on the field, which I think is going to change at some point, but until they change that, it's really just the 10 countable coaches that are really impact guys. Beyond that, you hope for more than that, but who knows? I mean, maybe he got some unbelievable offer and he's going to announce some multi-million-dollar deal. You're working for somebody else. Maybe he got fired. Maybe it was for cause. Maybe it wasn't. Whatever it was, I honestly just don't know, but I will find out. I will get to the bottom of it, and I will answer the question when I know.
Nevada, do you think we'll survive not having BT Jordan on staff this year?
Well, it does change. I think that it's probably reflected in the lines for Ohio State on their odds to win the national championship. It's probably coming down a little bit or something like that. But no, I think somehow, some way, we'll soldier on. And I want you personally, I want you to be strong. I'm saying like that. These are tough times. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. And I want you to stay strong through this, Kirk, and keep it together.
I mean, honestly, it reminds me of the Paul Walker song from Fast and the Furious, like "See You Again." I mean, I hope that you guys just listen to that and just remember
when
the good times.
When Paul Walker died, were you okay when Paul Walker died, or were you sad that did you stop watching the Fast and Furious movies at that point?
I would just hope that I would see him again, and I would see you again. I just if it doesn't affect me, it's like it sucks that the guy died because he was driving a GT3 and gunned it, and you shouldn't do that in a car that's like that. I mean, obviously, it's like he was obviously fantastic in the Fast and Furious movies, but it's like when you're in a hypercar, man, you can't screw around with that, and it's a tough lesson to learn. But I talked to Graham Rahal. Graham Rahal is a good friend of mine, and I said, that car that Paul Walker killed himself, that GT3 turbo, whatever it was, like, how scary is it to drive that? Because Graham's driven, he drives 200 miles an hour, and it's like, that thing is terrifying to drive because the wheels are slippery. You have to be like you can't treat that thing like it's just some Mustang. I mean, that thing is really quick. It's really slippery with the tires and it stinks, but man, it is what it is. Well, Nevada, we'll wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts as we head off into the night?
No, just the great thing about a show like this, we try to be the sports center for Ohio State sports, because every day something else happens, whether it be recruiting, whether it be expansion, whether it be Michigan related, whether it be Ohio State tactically related, Ohio State opponent, college football in general, and we love being that kind of summary for Ohio State sports for the day. And you can just count on one thing: is that every day there's going to be something else related to Ohio State, something related to college football, and every day we're one step closer to kicking it off for real. So I'm getting more and more excited as the regular season approaches, and appreciate you guys all being here. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
And the Carolina Hurricanes are up 1-0 for all of you hockey fans. So,
Let's go.
wow.
Go Hurricanes.
Let's go. Go Canes, go. Go Caniacs. All right. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys for joining us. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate all of your great super chats, your great questions. Again, shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. We appreciate you guys each and every night. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell each and every night. We appreciate you guys growing this platform for us. So thank you. Again, as always, we appreciate all you guys do for us. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. We'll catch you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. tomorrow. We'll see you then. Leave some comments for us tonight. I read them all, and I appreciate all that you guys do. That being said, go Bucks.